Hello again, YouTube. In the last video, we set up a button on our user interface here, and we gave it a string name, and we defined that string as click me. That way, our button will say click me on it instead of just button. So, the next part we need to do is make our button actually do something when we click on it. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to use this first field here. This is called a resource ID. We're going to use that for, it's going to allow the source code to identify the button. So let's go ahead and go to our Java source file here. And you're going to find that in the source folder, and then the next folder down, and then it's going to be called mainactivity.java. And you'll notice there's a lot of stuff in here. And again, if you're unfamiliar with programming, this is probably a little confusing to you, but as long as you just follow along and you type things exactly as I type them, everything will work out the same in the end. So, but if you are familiar with programming, I'm going to be trying to explain things a little bit, like what's going on with the code. So, you'll see here we have our main function is called main activity, and we've got all these. Got a couple member functions in here. One is onCreateBundle. What this does is it goes into the XML file here, and it looks at all your widgets. That's what these things are: the buttons, the text views, anything like that. And it looks at all the parameters here, and it builds them and it displays them on the screen right here. And the next thing down here, we have options menu, which we're not going to use. We're also not going to use the optional items, and we're not going to use placeholder fragments. So we can go ahead and delete all this stuff down here, but don't delete onCreateBundle. So delete the other functions in here. And don't delete the last curly brace down here. Or if you do, just add another closing curly brace at the end. Okay, so now we've just got the one function we need. We don't need this if statement. You can go ahead and highlight these 3 lines, delete them. Okay, so now we just have what we need. But we're going to need to be able to store the state of what's going on with the button. So to do that, we're going to create a new variable called mbutton1. It's going to be of type button, which it's not recognized by the compiler here, but if you hover over it, you can fix that. You see here it says import button. If you click that, it'll add the import statement up here, and now we can use the button variable type. Okay, so that's been fixed. Now that we've created a variable to store our stuff, let's go ahead and get the resource ID. Oops. Equals, and we're going to use this function called findViewById, and the parameter we're passing to it is r.id. and then the name of our button, which is button1. So button1. And you'll notice there's error here, and that is because the return type from this function is of type view with a capital V, and that is not what we want. We want the type to be button. So that fixes things. And what's going on here in this function is it's going to this generated file called r.java. It's this thing right here, and this stores all the memory addresses of all the resources. And it associates them with the names of the various resources, the widgets, the buttons. That way we don't have to go in there and type in some goofy hex code. It just handles it all for us. So we're getting that hex code and we're storing it here in button1. So now that we have that, we can use it to set up a listener. And the listener listens for clicks on the button. And when a click happens, we're going to want to display a message. So we're going to set up our listener, and we're using set onClickListener, and that's function to initialize listener, and the parameters we're passing to it is a new class we're going to define in here, and it's going to be used once and it's just going to be passed into this function. So we're saying on click, execute some action. So execute, so we're going to do something in here, but we're not doing anything yet. What we're going to do is we're going to create something called a toast. And a toast is basically just like a little pop-up window. And it'll just say something. We'll put a string in here. And we'll go ahead and name the string toast message. Close that off, and we'll say congratulations on creating your first app. Oops. There you go. Save that. Let's go back here. Okay. So on a click, we're going to tell it to display that message we just typed up. It's going to go into the string file and it's going to get that string and it's going to display it in a little window. So I'm going to use the toast function here. Let me look this up. Oh, there it is. All right, toast. Oops. And okay, so we need to pass it the context, which is basically where the source file is, and the source file is main activity. And we're passing in a reference to it, so we'd use this keyword. Okay. And the next parameter is the resource ID of that string we just typed. So it's going to be r.id, string, and toast message. Okay, and the duration is going to be toast dot, and this is all in caps because it's a okay. Yep. Okay, toast dot length short. And that's just some constant for a set number of seconds. And finally, after all that, we're going to tell it to show that message on the screen. Okay. So after that's all done, push Control S, and it'll save this stuff here. We're going to go back to the button. We're going to push Control S, and on string, Control S, save that stuff. All right, so our program's pretty much all written up. If you're not sure if you typed everything up, pause the video here and probably make sure this text matches what you've got there and nothing's underlined in red. Now we can actually run this on a virtual phone. So what we're going to do here is we're going to click Run Configurations, Android Application, New Configuration, and we're going to need to get the name of the app, which is my first app, and then we're going to click Run. And this takes a little while. It's going to pop up with a Android virtual machine.